Okay, welcome back. As I mentioned in my last video about my Richard Corben comic collection, I mentioned that I visited a store in Mesa, Arizona called Greg's Comics, and I was asking them about underground comic books because I was looking for the Richard Corben books that I hadn't yet acquired for my collection. And Howard, the owner, pulled out a nice long box full of underground and cult comic books. So far, I have yet to see this amount of underground comics in one comic shop. So I was very, very excited. Just a little recap on what I showed you. I just want to quickly run through the Richard Corben books that I found out of there. If you want a more in-depth story on these, just go back and take a look at part 5 of my Richard Corben comic book collection so far. Picked up 3 copies of Slow Death, number 3, and was very happy to add Skull Comics number 6 to my collection, Skull Comics number 3 in my collection, and Richard Corben, Ralph, am I saying that right? Somebody correct me on that. And was very excited to get Slow Death number 2 out of that long box as well. So now what I'd like to do, because I bought a number of underground comics, different titles from Greg's as well, and I just wanted to kind of show you guys what those were and do a separate video just showing these other titles of different cult books from the 70s and early 80s. Now, fortunately for me, these books were very reasonably priced. I basically went up there twice within a few days and bought a few different stacks of these books, and they basically averaged about, well, let's say less than $3 an issue, which is very, very nice when you're acquiring books that you don't quite know a whole lot about. You don't quite know if you are gonna really be into them or not, but they're priced right that if you don't care for them, then you haven't really invested a ton of money. So these books I'm going to show you, I don't know a whole lot about them. I've seen them here and there over the years, but I've never really targeted them, and so I can't tell you a whole lot about them. But I will show you what I have, because I think some of you guys who are fans of this genre, if you will, of comics, will enjoy some of these titles. Let's see. The Print Mint, I believe. United Cartoon Workers. This is Insect Fear number 3. And anybody that has any insight on these titles, feel free to enlighten me in the comments, because like I said, I don't know a whole lot about them. I have not gotten a chance to look through any of these books, so I'm not exactly sure what the storylines are. But these are 100% indie comics that gave the artists and the writers free reign on basically expressing themselves however they wanted. This one is issue number 1 of Hydrogen Bomb and Biochemical Warfare Funnies. Who knows what's in there? Next up, off of Ripoff Press, this is Viper. I'm not sure what issue this is. It's from 1985. Next up, Print Mint. This one is simply called Moondog. This is a really sick looking cover. Again, these all came from Greg's Comics in Mesa, Arizona. If you're in the Phoenix metropolitan area, you definitely want to go to this place. They have one of the best back issue sections I've seen in a while, and the prices are extremely reasonable in this place. You definitely want to go here. Next up, Industry Reality Comics, Ted Richards and Willie Murphy. Two Fools. When I saw this book, I was really excited because I know this guy has a reputation that is crazy in the graffiti world. This is Junk Waffle #1 by Von Bode. Some pronounce it Bodie. Next up, I grabbed this just because the cover was so interesting. This is off of Last Gasp, and this is issue #1 of the Inner City Romance. I love this artwork. I'm not sure. It says the artist's last name Caldwell. Anybody know who that is? Yeah, I really love this artwork. Looking forward to diving into that. Next up, we have issue #6 of Bijou Comics. This, I believe, is a Robert Crumb book, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, this is a Robert Crumb book. There are some other stories in here. There's Justin Green and Jay Lynch also featured in here. Like a short comic book. See how much space you got in there? That's classic Crumb there. Print mint. This is Energized Comics Trucking. Looks interesting. Not sure what this book is about. I believe I recently saw a YouTube video that was briefly talking about this book. This is off of Last Gasp. Not sure what issue this is, but this is White Comanche. Who knows what's going to go on in here? I think we all know what might go on in this book. We'll dive into that one later. Or I'll dive into it later. Last Gasp, another book, Plunge into the Depths of Despair. Not sure what issue this is. And this is a Crumb book. Check out the back. It's got that classic Robert Crumb art. He's like, Crumb is considered like a legend in the underground comic world. If you know much about Zap Comics and all of that whole movement that he started. Next up on Coconut Comics, this is issue #1 of Merton of the Movement. Next up, also on Last Gasp, issue #6 of Slow Death. And this looks like some serious sci-fi going on in here. We know that Richard Corben did some issues of slow death. He did some work in multiple issues of slow death. Up next, we have another Crumb title, Motor City Comics. Not sure what number this is, but more Crumb action there. And this book is just in beautiful, beautiful mint condition. But this comic book will be read. This is a no grading zone over here. We don't grade books over here on Daryl D TV. Next up, on Kitchen Sink, issue number 5, Snarf Comics. There was one Snarf book I featured in a previous video that was a Corben book. Now this was interesting. This was a company called The Crusaders. I'm not sure what that is about. I'm sure some of you guys could probably enlighten me on that. But there was a ton of these in there. I grabbed a couple, and this one is simply entitled Scarface. Not sure what that's about. This almost seems like some type of religious book or something, because I'm looking on the back here at some of these other issues, and they've got titles like Chaos and Exorcist and Spellbound and Angel of Light, The Ark, Primal Man, Double Cross, The Godfathers. This definitely seems religious based. Next up, another Crumb classic from 1970. This is Mr. Natural. From what I'm learning, this was one of his popular characters that were featured in multiple titles. Here's another Von Bode classic. This is Schizophrenia, with his famous, very popular Chief Wizard character. I love the way they kind of put his picture on there. It kind of makes it seem like this is like a flap out, but no, that's a part of the actual front cover. A lot of Von Bode fans. Here's the other one I picked up off of the Crusaders title. This is called The Broken Cross, excuse me. Not sure what this is about. This, I believe, is a Christian book, because looking on the back here, it says right here you can pick these up at your local Christian bookstore. So yeah, those are definitely religious based. What issue of this? On Last Gasp. Oh, issue number 4. Lovecraft featured in here. Issue number 4 of Skull Comics. Let's see here. This is Bumwad, Humor in a Toilet Bowl. And again, I got all these for basically $2.80 a piece. Like I said, they're not in the greatest condition, but for me, it doesn't matter at all. And like I said, he had a whole long box full of these. And I gotta be honest with you, I was not going to say where I got these from, because I had every intention of going there and buying every copy. But then I thought, you know, that might be a little on the selfish side. And besides, there was like multiple copies of some of those titles that were in there. And then there were a lot of them that I left behind because they seem to have a super strong adult nudity content to a lot of those books, which, you know, I'm not really looking for that. But yeah, if you're in the area and you are into underground comics, you definitely want to go over to Greg's Comics and ask Howard about his underground comics and have him pull out some of these incredible books. You'll be glad you did. I know I am. This is The Facts of Life, and this is from the I don't see a company on here, and I don't see an issue number. Facts of Life Funnies. Next up, we have a book called Consumer Comics, and it says the Wisconsin Department of Justice presents Consumer Comics. This is an example of one of the books. I think I saw like maybe 5 or 6 copies of this. There were more copies of The Facts of Life. This next one I'm about to show you on print mint, 1981 American Flyer Funnies. There were multiple copies of not only this particular book, but this title. There were other copies of that. And then anybody familiar with underground comics are familiar with the Freak Brothers Rip-Off Press. What year was this? Does it say on here? 1975. Show you that back hit. This one I've never heard of before. This is issue number 1 from Kitchen Sink Enterprises. This is Hungry Chuck Biscuits. crazy title on that one. Next up, another Last Gasp comic book. This is the Legion of Charlies. Okay, up next we have another one from Robert Crumb, issue number 4 of Bijou Funnies. Another classic from Von Bodie, issue number 4 of Junk Waffle. Here's one I've never heard of before. This is issue number 1 of Greaser Comics. This was another one I saw multiple copies of. And next up we have, let's see, this is 1971 off of Rip-Off Press. This is The Balloon Vendor. Again, these were some titles I've never heard before. I'm not really I can't honestly say that I'm collecting or looking for a lot of underground titles, but I have come across a lot that look very interesting. Some that I've gotten to read are very interesting. So I do have a nice collection of these now, but this was my biggest score as far as finding them, so many in one place. This is another copy I picked up of the Robert Crumb, Mr. Natural book that I showed you earlier. I believe I picked both of those books up on the two different visits I had to that shop. Next up, this one was very interesting. I'm looking forward to looking into this one. This was off of Kitchen Sink 2, issue number 1 of High Adventure. I just love this cover. Anybody know about this book? Let me know. And last but not least, this is issue number 2 of Short Order. Bill Griffith on the cover art. Don't know much about this book. Well, don't know anything about this book. A lot of the comic books they made back then were wider than the average, than the comics that, we've seen in the last 30 years. But yeah, Short Order. So yeah, that's about it. This video, basically, I wanted to cover not only, these crazy indie comics, cult comics, but also the fact that I found them all at one place. And I wanted to send a special shout out to Harold over at Greg's Records in Mesa, Arizona. If you're into any of these titles, you know where to go. You'll be glad you did. You can thank me later. And you can thank Harold when you get there. So thank you to Harold. Thank you to Greg's Comics. Thank you guys, the viewers, for joining me on another Daryl D episode. We'll see you next time. Take care of yourselves. Peace.